It wasn't betrayal. It was war. And I won.
The wrench slipped from my greasy fingers and clattered onto the concrete floor of my garage at 11:47 p.m. I was elbow deep in the engine of my '92 Mustang, trying to fix a carburetor that had been giving me trouble for weeks. The familiar smell of motor oil and the cool October air drifting through the open garage door usually calmed me down after another day of walking on eggshells around my wife, Monica. That's when I heard her laughing. Not the polite chuckle she reserved for my jokes or the forced ha-ha she used with her coworkers. This was genuine, throaty laughter, the kind I hadn't heard from her in years. The kind that used to make my chest tight with happiness. Back when we were dating 15 years ago, I wiped my hands on an old rag and crept toward the kitchen window. Through the gap in the blinds, I could see Monica pacing around our granite island, phone pressed to her ear, still in her expensive business suit from Paragon Innovations, where she worked as head of HR. "Stop it, you're terrible," she giggled, twirling a strand of her perfectly styled blonde hair around her finger like a teenager. "I can't believe you said that to the board." My stomach dropped. Monica never talked to me like that anymore. Honestly, she barely talked to me at all these days, except to complain about the dishes or ask me to pick up her dry cleaning. I pulled out my phone and started recording through the window. Call it instinct or paranoia, but something felt wrong, very wrong. I know, she continued, her voice dropping to a sultry whisper. "I can't wait either. Same place tomorrow?" Same place? What same place? Monica had been working late almost every night for the past 3 months, claiming the company was going through some major restructuring. I'd believed her because, frankly, I wanted to believe her. Our marriage had been rocky for years, but I still loved the woman I'd married, even if she seemed to have disappeared somewhere along the way. Yes, room 237. I'll bring wine this time. Room 237, hotel room. My wife was planning to meet someone at a hotel room. I stopped recording and stared at my phone screen, watching the seconds tick by. 43 seconds of my wife making plans to cheat on me. If laughter added years to your life, Monica would outlive me by decades, just not as my wife. She ended the call, and I quickly ducked back into the garage, my heart hammering against my ribs. I heard her heels clicking across the hardwood floors, then the sound of our bedroom door closing upstairs. I sat on my workbench and played back the recording. Her voice was crystal clear, every flirtatious word preserved in digital perfection. Part of me wanted to storm upstairs and confront her right then and there. But a bigger part of me, the part that had learned to think before acting during my years building my small construction business, told me to be smart about this. If Monica was cheating, I needed proof. Real proof. Not just a recording of a phone call that could be explained away as friendly banter with a coworker. I spent the next hour researching private investigators on my phone, but the prices were insane. $300 a day plus expenses. I didn't have that kind of money to throw around, especially not with Monica controlling most of our finances these days. No, if I wanted answers, I'd have to get them myself. The next evening, I told Monica I was going to my buddy Rick's house to watch the game. Instead, I parked across the street from the Hampton Inn downtown and waited. At 7:15 p.m., Monica's silver BMW pulled into the parking lot. She sat in her car for a few minutes, checking her makeup in the rearview mirror, before walking into the lobby carrying a bottle of red wine. 20 minutes later, a black Tesla Model S pulled up. I recognized the driver immediately, Ethan Blackwood, Monica's boss. He was about 45, tall and lean with salt and pepper hair and the kind of confident swagger that came from never having to worry about money. I'd met him twice at company parties, and both times he'd looked at me like I was something stuck to the bottom of his shoe. I watched him stride into the hotel like he owned the place, which he probably could have afforded to do. Paragon Innovations was one of the biggest tech companies in the state, and Ethan was a senior vice president. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone and took pictures of his license plate, the timestamp showing 7:34 p.m. Then I walked into the hotel lobby, my heart pounding so hard I was sure everyone could hear it. The desk clerk was a kid who couldn't have been older than 22, with thick glasses and a name tag that read Tyler. "Excuse me," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I'm supposed to meet my wife here, but I forgot the room number. Monica Patterson? She would have checked in about an hour ago." Tyler's fingers clicked across his keyboard. "I'm sorry, sir, but I can't give out guest information." I pulled out my wallet and showed him my driver's license. "Look, we have the same last name. I'm her husband. I just need the room number. He squinted at my ID, then back at his screen. I'm really sorry, Mr. Patterson, but company policy, room 237, said a voice behind me. I turned around to see an elegant woman in her late 30s with dark hair and striking green eyes. She was wearing a designer coat that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. Excuse me, I said. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. Your wife is in room 237 with my husband. My mouth went dry. Your husband? Ethan Blackwood, senior VP at Paragon, married for 12 years, father of 2. She extended a manicured hand. Vanessa Blackwood. And you must be the husband Monica never stops complaining about. The lobby started spinning. I gripped the edge of the front desk to steady myself. She complains about me? Vanessa's laugh was sharp and bitter. Oh, honey. According to my husband, you're controlling, lazy, and holding her back from her full potential. Apparently, you don't appreciate her ambition. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. How long have you known? About the affair? 3 weeks? About you? Much longer. Ethan's been obsessed with getting Monica to leave you for months. She tilted her head toward the elevators. Want to go say hello? I didn't go upstairs that night. Instead, Vanessa and I sat in her Mercedes in the hotel parking lot for 2 hours, comparing notes like detectives working a case. She showed me text messages between Ethan and Monica going back 4 months, messages that made my stomach churn. Can't wait to be free of dead weight, Monica had written. He has no idea what's coming. Soon, baby. Once the Patterson construction deal goes through, you'll have enough to start fresh, Ethan had replied. Patterson construction deal? What deal? My company wasn't involved in any deals with Paragon Innovations. Vanessa saw my confusion. You don't know about the acquisition, do you? What acquisition? She pulled up another text thread. Ethan's been working on buying your company through a shell corporation. Apparently, Monica's been feeding him information about your contracts, your finances, everything. The plan was to buy you out for cheap, then dissolve the business and sell the assets. My blood turned to ice. That's not possible. Monica doesn't have access to my business accounts. Are you sure about that? Vanessa's green eyes were sympathetic but knowing. Think about it. How many times has she offered to help with your bookkeeping? How many times has she borrowed your laptop? I thought back over the past few months. Monica had indeed been more interested in my work lately, asking about upcoming projects and cash flow. She'd even suggested I hire a new accountant, someone she knew through Paragon's network. Jesus, I whispered. They're not just having an affair, Vanessa said quietly. They're planning to destroy your life. I drove home in a daze, my mind reeling with everything I'd learned. When I walked into the house at 11 p.m., Monica was already in bed, supposedly asleep. I stood in the doorway of our bedroom, watching her breathe, wondering how long she'd been planning to betray me. The next morning, Monica was her usual self, distant but polite, focused on her phone while sipping her coffee. How was Rick's? She asked without looking up. Fine. We watched the Cubs lose in extra innings. She scrolled through her emails. I'll be late again tonight. Big presentation tomorrow. I poured myself coffee and sat across from her at our kitchen table. What kind of presentation? Just boring HR stuff. You wouldn't be interested. Try me. For the first time, she looked up from her phone, her blue eyes narrowing slightly. Since when do you care about my work? Since always. I've always cared about your work. Monica laughed, but it wasn't the warm laugh I'd heard on the phone last night. This one was cold, dismissive. Please, Dave. You tune out every time I mention anything about Paragon. You've made it very clear that you think my job is just playing around with spreadsheets. That wasn't true, but I could see there was no point in arguing. Monica had already rewritten our history to make me the villain in her story. I was thinking, I said carefully, maybe we should have dinner with some of your coworkers sometime. Get to know the people you spend so much time with. Monica's hand froze halfway to her coffee cup. Why would you want to do that? Because they're important to you. I'd like to meet them. That's sweet, Dave, but I don't think that's a good idea. Work and personal life should stay separate. Even your boss? What's his name? Ethan? The color drained from Monica's face. How do you know Ethan's name? You've mentioned him before. No, I haven't. We stared at each other across the table. I could practically see the gears turning in her head, trying to figure out what I knew and how I knew it. I think I have mentioned him, I said calmly. Maybe you just forgot. Monica stood up abruptly, grabbing her purse and briefcase. I'm going to be late. She kissed my cheek, a quick, perfunctory peck that felt like a lie, and headed for the garage. After she left, I went straight to my home office and started going through my business files. It didn't take long to find what I was looking for. 3 months ago, Monica had suggested I switch to a new accounting firm, Hartwell and Associates. I thought it was weird at the time because my old accountant, Joe Martinez, had been handling my books for 5 years without any problems. But Monica had been insistent. She'd said Hartwell specialized in small construction companies and could probably save me money on taxes. Against my better judgment, I'd made the switch. Now I pulled up Hartwell and Associates' website and dug into their corporate structure. It took some digging, but I eventually found what I was looking for buried in the fine print. Hartwell and Associates was a subsidiary of Blackwood Holdings, LLC. Ethan Blackwood's company had been handling my books for 3 months. They had access to everything, my contracts, my cash flow, my client list, my profit margins, everything they'd need to make a lowball acquisition offer. I called Joe Martinez. Dave, how's business? Joe's voice was warm and familiar. It's been better. Joe, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be straight with me. When Monica called you 3 months ago, what exactly did she say? There was a pause. She said you wanted to switch to a bigger firm, said you were expanding and needed more sophisticated accounting services. Did she say anything else? Another pause. Dave, is everything okay? Just tell me what she said, Joe. She said you were having cash flow problems and that Hartwell had agreed to work with you on payment terms. She asked me to send over all your files to make the transition smooth. Cash flow problems. I wasn't having cash flow problems. My business was doing better than it had in years. Thanks, Joe. I'll call you back. I hung up and stared at my computer screen. Monica hadn't just been feeding information to Ethan. She'd been actively sabotaging my business relationships and setting me up for a hostile takeover. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Your wife doesn't deserve you. Meet me at Rossetti's at 7 p.m. if you want to do something about it. V. Vanessa. Rossetti's was a small Italian place on the outskirts of town, the kind of family-owned restaurant where the tables were too close together and the owner's mother made the sauce from scratch every morning. Vanessa was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth with a glass of red wine. She looked different than she had at the hotel, less polished, more human. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she was wearing jeans and a sweater instead of her designer coat. You came, she said as I slid into the booth across from her. I'm here. What did you want to talk about? Vanessa took a sip of her wine and studied my face. You look like heck. Thanks, that's exactly what my ego needed to hear. She smiled. A real smile this time. Sorry, I just meant, you look like you haven't slept. I haven't. I spent all night going through my business records. You were right about the acquisition. They've been planning this for months. I know, and I have an idea about how to stop them. The waitress came over and I ordered a beer and the chicken parmesan. Vanessa waited until we were alone again before leaning forward. Here's what I'm thinking, she said quietly. They want to play games? Let's play games, but let's play to win. What do you mean? I mean, we give them exactly what they're not expecting, a united front. Tomorrow night, you invite Monica and Ethan over for dinner. Tell her you want to get to know her boss better, maybe discuss some business opportunities. I nearly choked on my beer. Are you insane? Why would I want those two in my house? Because knowledge is power, Dave. Right now, they think they're smarter than us. They think we're clueless. Let's keep it that way while we gather ammunition. What kind of ammunition? Vanessa pulled out her phone and scrolled through her photos. I've been documenting everything. Hotel receipts charged to Ethan's corporate card, restaurant bills, even jewelry purchases. Apparently, your wife has expensive taste in earrings. She showed me a receipt from Tiffany & Company dated 2 weeks ago. $1,800 for diamond studs. He bought these for Monica, she said. Charged them to his business account as a client relations expense. My hands clenched into fists. Monica had been wearing new earrings lately. When I'd complimented them, she'd said they were a gift from her sister. The dinner is just the beginning, Vanessa continued. We need them to get comfortable, to let their guard down, and then we strike. Strike how? Leave that to me. I've been married to Ethan for 12 years. I know exactly how to hurt him where it counts. I studied Vanessa's face. Her green eyes were hard as emeralds, and I realized that underneath her elegant exterior was someone who could be just as ruthless as her cheating husband. "Why are you helping me?" I asked. "Because I'm tired of being treated like an idiot. Because I'm tired of Ethan thinking he can do whatever he wants without consequences." She paused. "And because you seem like a decent guy who doesn't deserve to be screwed over by people he trusted." We spent the next hour planning our strategy. By the time I got home, I almost felt optimistic for the first time in days. Monica was in the living room, watching some reality TV show about housewives throwing drinks at each other. "Hey," I said, sitting down next to her on the couch. "How was your presentation?" "Fine." She didn't look away from the TV. "Good. Listen, I was thinking about what you said this morning, about keeping work and personal life separate. Maybe you were right." Now she looked at me, suspicious. "Okay. But I realized I've been kind of selfish. Your job is important to you, and the people you work with are important to you, so they should be important to me too." Monica muted the TV. "Where is this coming from?" "I don't know. I guess I've been doing some thinking about our marriage, about how we can make things better." I took her hand, surprised by how cold her fingers were. "What if we had your boss and his wife over for dinner this weekend? I could cook that salmon thing you like, open a nice bottle of wine. It might be fun." Monica's face went through a series of expressions: surprise, panic, calculation, and finally forced enthusiasm. That's really sweet, Dave, but I don't know if Ethan would be interested. He's very private." "Just ask him. The worst he can say is no." Monica squeezed my hand, and for a moment I almost forgot that she was planning to destroy my life. "Okay, I'll ask him tomorrow." The next evening, Monica came home with a strange expression on her face. "So, I talked to Ethan about dinner," she said, hanging up her coat, "and he said yes. He and Vanessa will come over Saturday night." I smiled. "Great. I'll stop by the market tomorrow and get everything we need." "Dave?" Monica's voice was uncertain. "Are you sure about this? I mean, Ethan can be kind of intense." "I'm sure. It'll be great." Saturday evening arrived with unseasonable warmth for October. I'd spent the afternoon cleaning the house and preparing dinner: herb-crusted salmon, roasted vegetables, and a chocolate tart from the bakery downtown. Monica had changed clothes 3 times before settling on a black dress that showed off the diamond earrings her sister had given her. Ethan and Vanessa arrived at 7 o'clock sharp. Ethan was wearing an expensive suit even though I'd told Monica it was casual, and he looked around our modest living room like he was appraising it for auction. Vanessa was perfectly polite, complimenting our house and bringing a bottle of wine that probably cost more than my monthly electric bill. "So, Dave," Ethan said as we sat down to dinner, "Monica tells me you're in construction." "That's right, I run a small company, mostly residential work and some commercial projects." "Interesting. The construction industry is ripe for disruption, don't you think? So many inefficiencies, so much room for technological innovation." I cut into my salmon. "I suppose, though sometimes the old ways work just fine." Ethan laughed, a condescending sound that made my jaw clench. "That's exactly the kind of thinking that's holding the industry back. You need to embrace change, Dave. Adapt or die, as they say." Vanessa caught my eye across the table and raised her eyebrows slightly. "Ethan's very passionate about innovation," she said smoothly. "Sometimes I think he sees opportunity everywhere he looks." "Guilty as charged," Ethan said, raising his wine glass. "I can't help myself. When I see a business with potential, I start thinking about how it could be improved, how it could be scaled up, how it could be acquired." The word hung in the air like smoke. Monica's face had gone pale. "Acquired?" I said innocently. "You mean like buying other companies?" "Exactly. It's all about identifying undervalued assets and bringing them into a larger, more efficient organization." Ethan's eyes glittered. "Take a company like yours, for instance. Small operation, probably struggling with cash flow, limited growth potential on its own. But as part of a larger entity, the possibilities are endless." "Ethan," Monica said quickly, "maybe we shouldn't talk business at dinner." But Ethan was on a roll, probably showing off for his mistress. No, it's fascinating stuff. See, the key is getting accurate information about the target company's financial situation. You need to know their real numbers, not just what they report publicly." Vanessa leaned forward. "And how do you get that kind of information?" Ethan grinned. "You'd be surprised how often people are willing to share sensitive information if you approach them the right way. Sometimes you don't even have to ask. They volunteer it. I felt my temper rising, but I kept my voice level. That sounds almost like industrial espionage. Oh, nothing that dramatic. More like strategic relationship building. Ethan, Monica said again, more urgently this time. But Vanessa wasn't done. That's so clever, honey. I bet you could even get someone's wife to help without them knowing what they were really doing. The temperature in the room dropped about 20 degrees. Ethan's smile faltered, and Monica looked like she was going to be sick. What do you mean? Ethan asked carefully. Vanessa smiled sweetly. Oh, just that wives often know all about their husbands' businesses. Bank accounts, client lists, profit margins. If someone wanted to acquire a company, getting close to the owner's wife would be a smart strategy. I watched Monica's face as the implications sank in. For the first time, she seemed to realize that she might not be Ethan's one true love. She might just be a useful tool. That's an interesting theory, I said, but it would require the wife to be pretty naive. I mean, what kind of woman would betray her husband's trust like that? Monica stood up abruptly, her chair scraping against the hardwood floor. I need to check on dessert. She fled to the kitchen, leaving the three of us in uncomfortable silence. Well, Ethan said finally, this has been enlightening. Vanessa raised her wine glass. To strategic relationships. The evening ended shortly after that, with awkward goodbyes and promises to do it again soon that we all knew were lies. After they left, Monica and I cleaned up the dishes in tense silence. That was weird, she said finally. Yeah, your boss is kind of an a-hole. Monica's hands stilled on the plate she was washing. What do you mean? All that talk about acquiring companies and getting information from people's wives, it sounded like he was describing some kind of con game. I think you're reading too much into it. Ethan's just passionate about business. I dried a wine glass and put it away. Monica, can I ask you something? Sure. Are you happy? I mean, really happy? With us, with our life? She was quiet for so long that I thought she wasn't going to answer. When she finally spoke, her voice was barely above a whisper. I don't know anymore, Dave. I honestly don't know. It was the most honest thing she'd said to me in months. Sunday morning, I woke up to find Monica already gone. There was a note on the kitchen counter. Gone to yoga class, then shopping with Jenna. Back this afternoon. Jenna was Monica's best friend from college. A sharp-tongued divorce attorney who'd never liked me. She'd been in Monica's ear for years, telling her she could do better, that she was wasting her potential being married to a blue-collar guy like me. I made coffee and sat at my computer thinking about everything that had happened. The dinner party had been a success in one way. I'd confirmed that Ethan was planning to acquire my company and that Monica was helping him. But it had also made something clear. I was running out of time. My phone buzzed. Another text from Vanessa. Coffee, we need to talk. An hour later, we met at a Starbucks across town. Vanessa looked tired, like she hadn't slept much either. How did Monica react after we left? She asked. She's starting to figure out that she's being used. I think last night was a wake-up call. Good. Maybe she'll come to her senses. I stirred my coffee and studied Vanessa's face. What if she doesn't? What if she's in too deep to back out now? Vanessa was quiet for a moment. Then we moved to phase 2, which is, we stop playing defense and start playing offense. She pulled out her phone and showed me a series of screenshots. I've been busy this morning. Did you know that Ethan's been using company funds to pay for your wife's hotel rooms? The screenshots showed credit card statements from Paragon Innovation's corporate account. Hotel charges, restaurant bills, jewelry purchases, all the evidence of Ethan's affair, paid for with company money. This is embezzlement, I said. Exactly. And Monica's been accepting gifts purchased with stolen funds, which makes her an accessory. I felt a chill run down my spine. Vanessa, what are you planning? I'm planning to destroy them before they destroy us. Her green eyes were cold as winter. The question is, are you with me? I thought about Monica's lies, about the way Ethan had smirked at me across my own dinner table, about how they'd been planning to steal my life's work. The old Dave, the one who still believed in fairness and second chances, might have hesitated. But that Dave was gone. I'm with you, I said. Over the next week, Vanessa and I worked like a team of private investigators. She had access to Ethan's financial records through their joint accounts, and I had access to Monica's laptop when she left it at home. We documented everything, every hotel receipt, every romantic text message, every piece of evidence that proved they were having an affair and planning to destroy my business. But we also discovered something else. Monica and Ethan weren't the only conspirators. On Thursday evening, I was going through Monica's email when I found a thread between her and Jenna that made my blood boil. "How's the Dave situation progressing?" Jenna had written. "Slowly. He's more suspicious than we thought. But Ethan says the acquisition should be finalized within the month." "Good. I've already started working on the divorce papers. With his business assets tied up in litigation, you should be able to get the house and most of the savings." "What about alimony?" "With his income about to disappear, you'll probably end up paying him. But it'll be worth it to be free." I read the exchange 3 times, each pass making me angrier. It wasn't just an affair, it was a coordinated attack on my entire life, planned by my wife, her boss, and her best friend. That night, Monica came home late again, claiming she'd been at another work meeting. She kissed my cheek and went straight upstairs to shower. While the water was running, I copied the email thread to a flash drive and sent copies to my own secure email account. Then I called Vanessa. "We need to accelerate our timeline," I told her. "What happened?" "Monica's divorce attorney has been in on this from the beginning. They're planning to file papers as soon as Ethan's acquisition goes through." Vanessa was quiet for a moment. "Then we hit them first. Tomorrow. What do you have in mind? Leave that to me. Just be ready to move fast when I give you the signal." Friday morning, I got up early and drove to my office. I spent the day moving money around, transferring funds from accounts that Monica knew about to accounts she didn't. I also called my real attorney, not the one Monica had recommended, and put him on standby. At 3 p.m., Vanessa called. "It's done," she said. "What's done?" "I sent everything to Paragon's board of directors, the hotel receipts, the credit card statements, the text messages between Ethan and Monica, all of it." My heart started pounding. "What do you think will happen?" "Ethan will be fired by the end of the day, and Monica will probably be arrested for accepting stolen goods." "Jesus, Vanessa, are you sure about this?" "Dave, they were going to destroy your life. They were going to take your business, your house, your savings, everything you've worked for, and they were going to do it while laughing behind your back." Her voice was steel. "So yes, I'm sure." I hung up and sat in my office, staring at the phone. There was no going back now. Monica called me at 4:30 p.m., sobbing hysterically. "Dave, you have to come pick me up. Something terrible has happened." "What's wrong?" "I can't talk about it over the phone. Just come get me. Please." I drove to Paragon Innovations and found Monica waiting in the parking lot, her face streaked with tears and her hands shaking. She got into my truck without saying a word. "What happened?" I asked. "Ethan was fired." Her voice was barely a whisper. "Security escorted him out of the building. They seized his computer, his phone, everything." "Why was he fired?" Monica looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. "They're saying he embezzled company funds. They're saying he used corporate credit cards for personal expenses." I tried to look surprised. "That's terrible. But why are you so upset? You didn't do anything wrong." Monica's face crumpled. "Dave, I need to tell you something." Here it comes, I thought, the confession. "Ethan and we've been..." She couldn't finish the sentence. "You've been what?" "We've been having an affair." I pulled over to the side of the road and put the truck in park. Monica was crying so hard she could barely breathe. "How long?" I asked quietly. 4 months. "Do you love him?" She nodded, still crying. I sat there for a moment, letting the weight of her confession settle over us. The old Dave would have been heartbroken. The new Dave just felt cold. "What do you want to do?" I asked. "I don't know. I don't know anything anymore. My career's over, Dave. They're going to investigate everyone who worked closely with Ethan. I'll probably be fired too." "What about us? Our marriage?" Monica looked at me with desperate eyes. "I know I don't deserve it, but can you forgive me? Can we try to work this out?" I started the truck and pulled back onto the road. "Let's go home and talk about it." But I already knew what I was going to do. That evening, Monica and I sat at our kitchen table, the same table where we'd eaten countless meals together over the years, where we'd paid bills and planned vacations and talked about having kids someday. Now it felt like a negotiating table in a war zone. "I know you hate me," Monica said, her voice hoarse from crying. "I hate myself." "I don't hate you," I lied. "I'm hurt, I'm angry, but I don't hate you. Ethan said you were holding me back, that I deserved better. He made me feel important, like I was special." "And now?" Monica's laugh was bitter. "Now I realize I was just another conquest. He probably has affairs with half the women at Paragon." I poured myself another beer and leaned back in my chair. "Monica, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with me." She nodded. Did you give Ethan information about my business? Her face went white. What do you mean? Did you tell him about my contracts, my finances, my client list? Monica's silence was answer enough. Why? I asked. He said he might be able to help you get bigger contracts. He said Paragon was always looking for reliable construction partners. That's not what he was planning, Monica. I went to my office and came back with a folder full of documents, everything Vanessa and I had discovered about Ethan's acquisition plan. Monica read through the papers, her face growing paler with each page. He was going to buy your company, she whispered, for about 30 cents on the dollar. And then he was going to dissolve it and sell off the assets. I didn't know. Dave, I swear I didn't know. But you would have been okay with it, wouldn't you? As long as you got to start a new life with Ethan. Monica started crying again. I was confused. I thought I wanted something different, something exciting. Well, congratulations. You got excitement. My phone rang. It was Vanessa. How's she taking it? Vanessa asked. About as well as you'd expect. Good, because I have more news. Ethan's been arrested. I felt a jolt of surprise. Arrested? The FBI got involved. Apparently using corporate funds to pay for an affair qualifies as wire fraud when the amounts are large enough. He's looking at federal charges. Monica was staring at me, trying to figure out what was happening. What about Monica? I asked. That depends on how cooperative she wants to be. The FBI will probably want to interview her as a witness. I hung up and looked at my wife. That was Vanessa Blackwood. Ethan's been arrested. Monica's face went completely white. Arrested? Federal charges, wire fraud, embezzlement, maybe more. Oh God, what am I going to do? You're going to tell the truth. You're going to cooperate with the FBI investigation, and you're going to hope they don't decide to charge you as an accessory. Monica buried her face in her hands. My life is over. Your old life is over. I corrected, but you could still have a future. We could still have a future. She looked up at me with desperate hope. Do you really mean that? I mean that I'm willing to try, but things are going to have to change. Completely. Anything. I'll do anything. I stood up and walked to the kitchen window, looking out at our backyard where we'd once talked about building a deck and maybe getting a dog. Those dreams felt like they belonged to different people now. First, you're going to resign from Paragon. Today. Okay. Second, you're going to cut off all contact with Jenna. Monica's head snapped up. What? Why? I pulled out another folder, this one containing the email exchanges between Monica and Jenna about the divorce plan. Monica read the emails, her face cycling through confusion, realization, and finally horror. She was planning to divorce you from me, she said quietly. She was planning to help you destroy me and take everything I've worked for, just like Ethan. Monica's hands were shaking. I never asked her to do this, but you didn't stop her either. I didn't know. You didn't want to know. There's a difference. Monica sat in silence for a long time, staring at the emails. What else? She asked finally. You're going to get a new job, something that doesn't involve corporate espionage or sleeping with your boss, Dave, and you're going to earn back my trust, however long that takes. Monica nodded. I'll do whatever you want. I just want to fix this. I looked at my wife, really looked at her, for the first time in months. She was still beautiful, still the woman I'd fallen in love with 15 years ago. But she was also a stranger who'd been planning to destroy my life. We'll see, I said. The next few weeks were a blur of FBI interviews, legal meetings, and tense conversations. Monica resigned from Paragon and started seeing a therapist. She cut off contact with Jenna, who was furious and threatened to sue me for alienation of affection, whatever that meant. Ethan was indicted on multiple federal charges and was looking at serious prison time. His wife Vanessa filed for divorce and was awarded half of everything in the settlement. My business survived the acquisition attempt, though it took some work to untangle myself from Hartwell and Associates and get my books back in order. Joe Martinez was happy to take me back as a client. Monica and I started marriage counseling, though I wasn't sure my heart was really in it. Every time I looked at her, I remembered those emails, those text messages, that laugh I'd heard through the kitchen window. But I was willing to try. Or at least I was willing to let her think I was willing to try. Because I had one more surprise planned. 3 months after Ethan's arrest, Monica seemed to be settling into our new normal. She'd found a job at a small nonprofit organization, making about half what she'd made at Paragon, but seeming genuinely happier with the work. She was trying hard to rebuild our relationship, cooking dinner most nights, asking about my day, even showing interest in my hobbies again. Our marriage counselor, Dr. Rebecca Chen, thought we were making good progress. The trust will take time to rebuild, she told us during one session, but I can see that you're both committed to making this work. Monica squeezed my hand. I know I have a lot to make up for. We both do, I said, playing my part. But late at night, when Monica was asleep beside me, I lay awake planning my real revenge. The problem with forgiveness, I'd realized, was that it required forgetting. And I couldn't forget what Monica had done to me. Not just the affair, but the calculated betrayal, the willingness to destroy my life for a chance at something she thought was better. I couldn't forget, and I didn't want to forgive. So I waited. I played the role of the wounded but hopeful husband, going to counseling sessions and having awkward date nights and pretending that we were healing together. And I planned. The opportunity came in March, 6 months after Ethan's arrest. Monica came home from work with exciting news. Dave, you'll never guess what happened today. What? I got a call from a headhunter. There's a company in Denver that wants to interview me for a senior HR position. The salary is amazing, almost double what I was making at Paragon. I looked up from the financial reports I was reviewing. Denver's pretty far away. I know, but this could be a fresh start for us. A chance to leave all the bad memories behind and start over somewhere new. What kind of company? A tech startup. They're growing fast and need someone with experience building HR departments from the ground up. I pretended to consider it. It sounds like a great opportunity for you. For us, Monica corrected. I already told them I was married and that you'd need to relocate your business too. They said Denver has a booming construction market. When's the interview? Next week. They're flying me out on Thursday. I smiled. That's fantastic, honey. I'm proud of you. Monica beamed. It was the first genuine smile I'd seen from her in months. What Monica didn't know was that I'd been the one to arrange the interview. The tech startup was actually a shell company I'd created with Vanessa's help. The headhunter was a friend of Vanessa's who owed her a favor. The amazing salary was going to come with some very interesting conditions. Monica flew to Denver on Thursday morning, excited and nervous about her big interview. She called me that evening, bubbling with enthusiasm. Dave, it went so well. The company is incredible, and the team seems amazing. They offered me the job on the spot. That's wonderful. What are the details? The salary is $180,000 a year, plus equity in the company. They want me to start as soon as possible. What about the relocation package? They'll pay for everything, moving expenses, temporary housing while we find a place, even help you establish your business in Denver. Sounds too good to be true. I know, right? But sometimes good things happen to good people. If only she knew. There's just one thing, Monica continued. They need me to sign the contract tomorrow and put down a good faith deposit. A deposit? It's standard for executive positions, they said. Just $20,000 to show I'm committed to the role. They'll reimburse it with my first paycheck. I almost laughed out loud. Monica, who'd spent months helping her lover plan to steal my business, was about to fall for the oldest con in the book. Do you have that much available? I asked. I'll have to transfer it from our savings account. Is that okay? Of course. This is your dream job. Monica was so excited she could barely contain herself. I love you, Dave. Thank you for supporting me through all of this. I know I don't deserve a second chance, but I'm going to make the most of it. I love you too, I lied. The next morning, Monica wired $25,000 to the account number provided by her new employer. The account was registered to a company called New Horizons LLC, which existed only on paper and would be dissolved within 24 hours. Monica called me that afternoon, crying hysterically. Dave, something's wrong. I went to the office to sign my contract and the building is empty. There's no company there. No one answers the phone. What do you mean? I think I've been scammed. The job, the offer, everything. I think it was all fake. I made appropriate sympathetic noises while Monica sobbed into the phone. I'm so stupid, she said. How could I fall for something like this? You're not stupid. You trusted someone, and they took advantage of that trust. The irony was apparently lost on her. Monica flew home that evening, devastated and embarrassed. She'd lost $25,000, money that represented years of careful saving, to what she thought was a sophisticated scam. I have to report this to the police, she said as we sat in our living room. Absolutely. Though I have to warn you, these kinds of internet scams are hard to prosecute. The money is probably already gone. Monica buried her face in her hands. How am I going to tell Dr. Chen about this? She'll think I'm an idiot. Dr. Chen will understand. Everyone makes mistakes. Not mistakes this big. Not mistakes this expensive. I put my arm around her shoulders, playing the supportive husband. We'll get through this together. It's just money. But it wasn't just money, and we both knew it. It was Monica's independence, her confidence, her belief that she was smarter than everyone else. Over the next few days, Monica sank into a depression deeper than anything I'd seen during the Ethan crisis. She'd been scammed by people who understood exactly how to manipulate her. People who'd promised her everything she wanted and then taken her money and disappeared. People like her. A week later, I filed for divorce. Monica was served with papers at her office, just like I'd been planning to be served 6 months earlier. The petition cited irreconcilable differences and included a detailed accounting of her affair with Ethan, her role in the attempted acquisition of my business, and her recent financial irresponsibility. When she came home that evening, her face was streaked with tears. "Dave, we can work this out. We don't need lawyers." "I think we do. But Dr. Chen said we were making progress." I looked at my wife, my soon-to-be ex-wife, and felt nothing but cold satisfaction. "Monica, do you remember what you told Jenna about paying me alimony?" Her face went white. "How do you—" "I've known about everything from the beginning, the affair, the business plan, the divorce strategy, all of it." Monica sank into a chair, her legs giving out. "You've known? This whole time? Since the first night I heard you laughing on the phone with Ethan. Then why did we go to counseling? Why did you say you wanted to work things out?" I smiled, and I knew it wasn't a nice smile, because I wanted you to understand what it felt like to have someone you trust betray you. I wanted you to know what it was like to believe in something that was never real. "The job in Denver was as fake as your marriage vows." Monica stared at me like she was seeing me for the first time. "You're not the man I married." "No," I agreed. "The man you married was naive enough to trust you. The man you married would have let you destroy his life and said thank you for the privilege." "Dave, please, I know I hurt you, but this isn't who you are. This is exactly who I am. You just never bothered to find out." Monica tried to fight the divorce, but she didn't have much leverage. The prenup we'd signed 15 years ago was still valid, and her affair with Ethan was well documented. The $25,000 she'd lost to the fake job scam had been her personal money, saved up from years of secret planning to leave me. In the end, she got the house, which was mortgaged to the hilt, and half of our remaining savings, which wasn't much after her investment in New Horizons, LLC. I got my business, my freedom, and the satisfaction of knowing that Monica finally understood what it felt like to be outmaneuvered by someone she'd underestimated. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I ran into Monica at the grocery store. She looked tired and older, like the stress of the past year had aged her beyond her 37 years. "How are you doing?" she asked quietly. "I'm good, really good." "I heard you're seeing someone." Word travels fast in a small town. "Vanessa and I have been spending time together." Monica nodded, her face carefully neutral. "She's a nice woman." "She is." We stood there for a moment in awkward silence. Two people who'd once promised to love each other forever and had ended up destroying each other instead. "Dave?" Monica's voice was small. "Do you think you'll ever be able to forgive me?" I considered the question seriously. Monica had cheated on me, betrayed my trust, and tried to steal my life's work. But I'd lied to her for months, manipulated her emotions, and stolen $25,000 of her money through an elaborate con game. "I think we're even," I said finally. Monica's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. "I guess we are." I watched her walk away, pushing her cart toward the produce section, and felt something I hadn't expected, a tiny flicker of the old affection. Not enough to change anything, not enough to make me regret my choices, but enough to remind me that we'd once been happy together. Then I thought about Vanessa waiting for me at home, about the new life we were building together, about the business that was thriving, now that I didn't have to worry about corporate espionage from my own wife. Some people might call what I did to Monica cruel. They might say that revenge isn't justice, that two wrongs don't make a right, that I should have taken the high road. Those people have never had someone they loved try to destroy them. Monica taught me that trust is a luxury I can't afford, and that sometimes the only way to protect yourself is to strike first. She taught me that nice guys don't finish last. They finish broke and alone and wondering what hit them. Most importantly, she taught me that I'm capable of being just as ruthless as anyone else when I need to be. I learned those lessons well, and I'll never forget them.